everybody. Welcome to the Very Connected podcast. And you're being joined today by me, Brenda, and Rick Tremblay, who is here with us. And I'm going to do a little introduction. I'm so excited to have him. This is his second time on our platform. And appreciate you guys, your willingness to kind of be with us here as we kind of had a few minute delay on getting live, but we are here and present. And what we're going to be talking about today is understanding how imposter syndrome may affect weight loss. And so, a little bit about what imposter syndrome, for those of you who may not know what that is. It's the mindset when a person doubts their skills, their talents, or accomplishments despite external evidence of what they are able to do and how they are competent in those things. And so this can occur anytime in life, whether it be at home or maybe your work in the community, your work at your job. It can be debilitating because, and also frustrating because much like other symptoms like depression, anxiety, and lack of motivation, it can keep us from meeting our goals, our objectives. And during this discussion, Rick is he's going to talk about how this syndrome may affect you or others in your life, and also steps that you can take to overcome such. So at this, I'm going to do a short little introduction for you, Rick, and then I'm going to have you
Sure.
go a little deeper.
Okay.
So Rick is a human resources professional with over 20 years of management experience in the nonprofit, for-profit, unionized education and healthcare industry. And he has a bachelor's degree in public relations and a master's degree in organizational psychology and human resources. And he's also very passionate about professional and organization development. He's carrying over a lot of these things that he's taught within, settings other than just the bariatric community that he's learned in hoping to portray them in the bariatric world where to make them applicable, to you and what he's learned and how that can cross over. He began his weight loss journey at 409 pounds in September of 2019 when he got gastric bypass surgery. That was kind of his beginning point. He's lost over 220 pounds. Oh my gosh, Rick, and continues to maintain his weight loss. He's incorporated in some physical fitness and nutrition, just lifestyle changes in general. He also owns his own business, Possibilities Leadership, a coaching and consulting firm specializing in human resources consulting, executive and employee coaching, leadership, and individual coaching. So he does this in person and virtually. So Rick, thanks to you so much for being here with us. At this point, I'm going to just allow you to do a formal introduction more about your
Sure.
own story, your background, your
Yeah,
training, and how you connect with the community.
sure. Thanks again for having me, Brenda. I really appreciate it. And thanks to everyone for joining today. So what I've learned just having years and years experience working in the field of human resources and working in businesses is just how um, um, just the correlation between the two, how a lot of the business principles and a lot of the things we do in business can actually apply to our life. If you think about it, it makes a lot of sense, right? Because a family, that's a business. Your parents are your CEO, or the husband and the wife are your CEO and CFO, and it just goes on and on. There's a budget, there's health, there's safety, it's all interchangeable. So, what I like to do, because a lot of these principles that we use in the workplace are really helpful for an organization to develop. So, what I like to do is cross train those over to us on the individual side, and they can really be applied to anywhere. So, specifically here, we're applying it to the bariatric process, the pre and the post op. So, one thing that, and the last time I presented, I focused a lot on different models and principles. And this time I'm just focusing on one area, imposter syndrome. It's really, I feel it's starting to become an epidemic, especially in the workplace. We see it a lot. I'll go into some actual statistics. which are mind-blowing to me, by the way. I'm hoping that if anything, if anyone can take anything away from this today, would be just to understand that there are other issues or factors in life that can actually affect how we progress through this journey. So I am going to share my presentation and we're going to hope it works, right, Brenda?
We were both having a little audio visual stuff, guys. That's why we were a few minutes late getting on here, but it's all working out.
Yeah,
It's
if I
on
could,
there, Rick. You got
I
it.
know, I'm trying to see the screen here to play it, and this bar's in the way. And come
I
on,
know.
I think it's F12 gets me the. Yeah, no, that's not it. There we go. Play. Okay. Okay. So, oops. Can you see this presentation?
Yes, absolutely. And we
Uh,
are actually, we have all kinds of people joining us that are
Wonderful.
on they're seeing it as well, it looks like.
Okay,
So
great. So I love to do these quick surveys and all that. So if you go to slido.com and feel free to use your phones, there's an app for it. You can scan the QR code. I'm going to ask a few questions to get your perspective on some things. So just take a moment for those that don't have the visual, just the audio. If you go to slido.com, the code for this is pound 3457344. Again, that's 3457344. And that's your code to access all of this. So I'll give
and
everyone
that's
about.
more for, hey Rick, I'm just going to add on to this is more for the live version. If you're listening on replay, we do have this usually on our podcast and also on YouTube. This is probably not really applicable because at that point it won't be this won't be live, but just feel free to listen in. So
That's right.
okay.
So my I wonder why I got these. So the first question is, after losing weight, you may have been asked, how did you lose all that weight? How did you typically reply? Was it, I worked with a nutritionist and or exercised? I had weight loss surgery, or some other vague response? See, I always find these results really interesting, right? So it's kind of right now, it looks like it's kind of split down the middle here. Um, Looks like closer to 50% of the people have actually disclosed that they've had weight loss surgery. Others have said that they've worked out with a nutrition. So it's kind of a balance, it looks like. So that's pretty helpful to kind of know, right? And I have a reason for asking this. Of course, I always have a reason for asking these. So we'll just keep going here. And then how did that question make you feel when somebody asked you that? Did you feel like you were cheating, that you took the easy way out, that you didn't care one way or the other what people felt, um, or you felt like you didn't earn the weight loss? I see, and a lot of these numbers that are popping up, they really do make a lot of sense. I think a lot of us kind of struggle with this, right? Because we're kind of conditioned through life, especially with that dieting culture that that it's a struggle, it's a constant struggle to do this. And heck, most of us have been through what, 20, 30 diets before we even decided to move forward with weight loss surgery. So we understand that there's that difference there, right? But to see these figures though, that the majority of folks that at least participated in this survey felt like they didn't earn this weight. So let's just kind of think about that as we go through the presentation here. So first, I want to share a story with you. This is a true story, except for the name. I kind of used a different name here, but my friend Julie, right? She also went through the weight loss journey. She did the sleep procedure about 5 years ago, and she lost over 100 pounds, which I think was just incredible. And actually, she's probably one of the reasons why that kind of convinced and motivated me to kind of start this journey or to begin this journey myself. So she lost over 100 pounds. She felt great. She looked great. She had so much energy. I mean, if you had met Julie before, she was very sluggish, very tired. Just it was hard to get her out of the house sometimes to go do something. And by the way, I kind of mirrored that myself at 400 pounds. There's not much you can do, right? I'm like walking up one flight of stairs out of breath. So it gets challenging. And I know most of you can relate a story like this, at least with the struggle of being weight and what motivates us to move forward with this. Now, uh, I'm going to say about 2 to 3 years, it was about 3 years after her journey, she had issues with her fiance and really struggled with that relationship. And we noticed from a lot of what she ended up sharing with me too is that her fiance became extremely jealous. Now, before the surgery, she was heavier than her fiance. After about 3 years, it became the other direction. And he began saying not great things to her. I don't know why you're so proud. You cheated weight loss by getting surgery. You're just going to gain the weight back like everyone else. Now, when you hear phrases like that, they're very demotivating, right? And you tend to hear a lot of comments like that in the workplace. We'd call it a toxic work environment. In situations like this, it's kind of a toxic relationship where you don't get that support. You get constant negative feedback coming at you. You get constant gossip. Um, um, you may get a group of people kind of tag teaming you on a lot of negativity, and it's just not helpful. It's not supportive. And when we go through a process like this, let's face it, we need as much support as we can get. It is a battle. And I don't know about everyone else, but for me personally, going through these diets initially before the surgery and that weren't as hard and difficult as what we went through to get the surgery, and then of course the post surgery, right? It's more challenging. It can be a big struggle sometimes to what we like to say, get out of that honeymoon period as we break away from that. And now it's like, oh, the weight's not flying off anymore. Now I actually got to work to keep it off harder, right? And just hearing those negative statements repeatedly, she began to feel ashamed, very sad, extremely sad. She actually ended up going into depression, very disengaged in life, reclusive again. And she started gaining some of that weight back. So it really became destroying to her. It destroyed her achievements. It destroyed her happiness, is what I'm going. And I'm using strong words, yes, but I think it's helpful for us to hear things like this too, and it's also helpful for us to realize we're not alone. Many of us have perhaps have felt something not as severe, or it could have been worse. It could have been not as severe, but on some level, I'm willing to bet some of us have felt some level of imposter syndrome throughout our lives. And okay. I'm stuck. My slide won't advance. Oh,
Maybe that'll help, just taking it off and back on again.
I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. Let me bring that up.
And Donna, I see that you say that you it looks like there was somebody who added in the chat, going through surgery and recovery, lost so many relationships because of my extreme transformation. So we do
Yeah.
understand. Yeah. Like a lot
You
of
know,
relationships do change.
right? They totally do. And the let me see if I can get us back here. Okay. And the and I'm sorry, you said that person's name was Donna?
Hmm.
Donna, thank you for adding that. I think the one thing that's really interesting that a lot of people really don't consider is how there is a change in relationships, right? Because people get comfortable in relationships, you kind of know each other's flow, and then all of a sudden, someone going through this process, your level of confidence increases so much that you want to get out and experience the world, right? Because we've been so reclusive for so long, and it's like, what, now I can actually get out there, explore and do things and just have an awesome time. And it can actually cause some strain on relationships, which is one reason why I think a lot of these programs require us to get the mental health counseling component with that, because it helps us to talk and explore the experiences and the issues that we could go through and sometimes do go through. I'm not going to lie, I was one of those people that had issues with my own relationship because of something uh, not similar like this, but just I wanted to explore more life, and the other individual didn't, so it can cause some harm. Um, I don't have the exact percentage, but there several different places have done studies on the effects of bariatric surgery over relationship, and I've seen figures go as high from 25 to 40% of the people that actually go through this have either strong relationship issues or have ended relationships because of it. So if you're in the pre-op phase and it's something that you would consider talking with the counselor about maybe before you go through the surgery, just so maybe you can put some preventative processes in place um, to help avoid issues that could cause harm to your relationship going forward, may be beneficial at least to consider. But what is imposter syndrome? So, like Brenda had shared earlier, it's a mindset when a person doubts or questions their own skills, their talents, their accomplishments, successes. You can feel like undeserving of your achievements, right? Again, we're conditioned through life that it's a struggle to diet, it's a struggle to exercise, it's a struggle to do this. And while we have all those conditions, when we initially have that surgery and that weight starts flying off during again that honeymoon period, um, it does quickly build our confidence, and we feel like in some ways we've cheated because we didn't go through those initial struggles. And we could feel like we're a fraud, that someone or somewhere will uncover the truth on how we may have lost our weight. Fake it till you make it, that fake it till you make it approach, or that thoughtful. The mindfulness is can really contribute to this. Shaming, right? Shaming's horrible. Shaming others or self-shaming ourselves. um, and this was the interesting statistic that I got. Harvard Business Review estimates that over 70% of the general population, evenly split between men and women, have felt some effect of imposter syndrome at some point in their life. And again, like Brenda said, it can happen anytime throughout your life, at work, at school, um, uh, at, at the home, in the community. They're all areas or all um, uh, situations where imposter syndrome can occur. So, since you began your weight loss journey, this is going back to Slido. Have you experienced any of the following? Anxiety, depression, lack of loss or motivation, lack or loss of self-confidence, unable to focus to achieve your weight loss goals? Yep. Look at those numbers rising, huh? It's challenging, folks. This is a life process. Right, right? I mean, we have changed our anatomy. This is a life process. And it's so easy sometimes, I think, to put ourselves down, not trust ourselves, and it can be easy to kind of get brought down by other people ne negatively doing or saying things to us. I see a lot of things in the chat here, along with people from work chatting with me, but we'll just skip that. So it seems like the really two top ones are anxiety and depression, right? And so these are big outcomes from imposter syndrome. Something to think about as we move on. Now, types of imposter syndrome, there actually is an institute out there that specializes just in imposter syndrome. And you can Google it. It's called the Imposter Syndrome Institute. It's run by Dr. Valerie Young. And she highlights these uh, 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 did different areas of imposter syndrome: the perfectionist, the expert, the soloist, the natural genius, the superhuman. So just to touch a little bit about them. So when we look at the perfectionist, this is someone that causes somebody to focus on performing a task perfectly. Anyone out there, do you try to be perfect at every little thing you do? And when you don't do something right, what tends to happen, right? We are our worst critics, right? We criticize ourselves. Oh my God, I can't believe I didn't meet this deadline. I can't believe I can't believe I misspelled this word in this article I'm writing. There's all these different perfectionist ideas, and anytime that we don't get to our level of perfectionism, we tend to self-doubt ourselves, right? That maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was. Then we have what's called that expert. So instead of focusing on what they can do, the expert focuses on proving how much they know. So it's like, I'm a know-it-all. But do I really practice what I preach? Type thing. And just a sidebar, I think I've fallen into every single one of these categories at least once in my life. So if it helps, I'm validating and like giving you guys permission to feel or agree that you also may have felt some of these things throughout your life. But proving how much you know, they believe that they should be an expert in every single subject out there. And if they don't know even the most obscure fact, they have failed. Okay, so now we've dealt with self-criticism and in failure. Then we have what's can be called the soloist. And when we look at the imposter phenomenon, it drives the soloist to do everything independently. They consider they don't need support, or they actually consider that getting support or being coached is shameful, right? And you know what? I can relate to that too. I mean, I think before I started this program, really did not feel comfortable going to see a healthcare or um, mental health specialist because I'm thinking, oh, the stigma of somebody seeing that I'm not a crazy person, and these are really, and I found out through experience, right, that it's just not true. And heck, still today, I'll go talk to a mental health professional. In fact, my friend is actually a mental health professional. So I think the services and just being able to talk to somebody that professionally can give mental health advice is so critical to succeed through a program such as this. Heck, forget the programs such as this, just in life in general. Think of all the stress that's happening. I mean, I feel like every day I read the news and there's some shooting in some city, or I mean, people are just off the chart. I'm seeing pedestrians getting hit by cars, and it's it's I think coming out of the endemic, we're not managing things well on an emotional level. This is just my perspective. And I'll side bar again, I am not a mental health professional. I cannot diagnose. But I do think that understanding some of these things can be really helpful, again, for us to succeed through this program and continue on in the right path and direction. Then we have the natural genius. And these people set incredibly high standards for themselves. They believe they should be successful at everything on the first try. They accomplish the task alone without any aid or support. And struggling to improve their skills undermines their self-worth. So they don't, so they believe trying to improve themselves just undermines who they really are. Well, so I got news for everyone, right? So when we look at an educational level, in training and development, professional development, and that we learn from an infant to the day we die. This is how we grow as an individual. This is how we develop. Uh, this is how you are, or how you became the person that you are, your personality. It all gets affected by how we grew up through life. So it's all a learning, life is a learning process. And then finally, we have the superhuman, right? And the superhuman believes that they should be everything to everybody. They try to fulfill every role and then get deeply ashamed and disappointed when they can't please everyone. So these are certainly not all of everything that can contribute to imposter syndrome, but I think it helps us to realize that, okay, so categorically, maybe I fall into one of these more than I would in the other. And I'm not saying that you have to now, but maybe you did at one point, or maybe you're starting to progress in that direction. So when we look at the negative impacts of everything, think of what can happen when imposter syndrome happens. We have loss of motivation. Horrible when we're trying to maintain our weight by watching what we eat, being able to exercise, getting out of the house, being active, doing something. And it can learn to things like anxiety, right? We're just stressed out. It's like, oh my God, I lost all this weight. Now I'm gaining it all back. And I just don't understand why I can't seem to follow the simplest um, uh, program, because let's face it, after about a year, we've all become experts on this in some way or another, right? So we know what we need to do, I think. Um, Sometimes we just need a little help and support with that. And that's why we do calls like this. And that's why you have support groups that you go to. And then it can also lead to depression, which is completely debilitating to people. I mean, sometimes we can struggle just to get out of bed in the morning. It can affect our work. It can affect our performance, our productivity. It can affect our family life, right? Um, it, 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 it's just all really negative situations that can occur when imposter syndrome happens. Certainly lack of confidence, and then the inability to achieve our goals.
Hey, Rick,
Yes, please.
do you mind if I pause for just a second? I wanted
Ah,
to,
absolutely.
okay. Yeah, there's a couple comments, and I think it bars to say something at this point just because they kind of go along with the things that you've said so far. So Beth Ann says, I've not had surgery yet. I do know that some of my friends will push against me pursuing this. I am working on this in therapy prior to surgery and will continue after. I hope all this helps. So to me, that's really inspiring that she's thinking ahead and going on. Um, there was also a comment earlier about one of our participants said that she actually ended a relationship prior to surgery
Mhm.
because it wasn't working out, in therapy. So another thing too, Sharon says most people won't admit seeing a therapist, but what's wrong with it? If we are trying to help
Right.
ourselves be a better person, why not? So I think you're hitting on some of those points, Rick. And it's
Yeah.
kind of just to, verify that it is okay. Like you can ask for
Yeah.
support because I know I've been like in that situation too before. Asking for support can seem like a weakness, but it's really a strength. And then Donna says therapy twice a month and monthly weight loss class. So,
Mm,
okay.
That
I
is
just wanted to
awesome.
add those things because I kind of think they added to like to stress what you were bringing home there in your
I
message.
and just to echo from all that too, Brenda, and everyone else that contributed, thank you again for doing that. I'll just share my own personal experience with it. Like I said before, I mean, look, I'm 50 years old. I kind of grew up in that era when, uh, if you went and saw a therapist, it was because you had a major psychological issue in your life, or something severe at the level of um, uh, some kind of psychotherapy that's needed, or just
Hmm.
something really, really severe. And finally, I broke down and I tried it, and I actually had such an amazing experience because it's safe, right? It's nice to talk to someone who doesn't know you and that's not going to judge you. And the best way, in my opinion, to do that is talk to a stranger. And certainly, I do echo or emphasize that the relationship between you and your mental health clinician should be one of respect and trust. So if you're not comfortable with the person you're seeing, advocate for yourself because there's many out there, right? And please don't feel bad doing that. I've done it twice. If like I don't click with somebody, I'm not going to continue going to them because it's not doing me any good. It's like, well, what am I getting something that I can go talk to my mom about or something? I want a professional that can maybe give me some insight into one, what's the root cause that's causing me to behave this way, and what ideas are there that can help me maybe step out of my shell. And there's actually one that I'll talk about a little later on that was really helpful to me, and I hope it could be for everyone else too. But again, thank you
Rick,
for sharing that, Brenda. That's great.
yeah, I think too, it just reminded me too, sometimes people look at it the same way as weight loss surgery. If you think about that, like people think I have to be weak to have weight loss surgery. I have to have um it's not a strong point, but think about for those of you who have weight loss surgery, how much it's changed your life.
Yeah.
And it's a tool, just like therapy is kind of a tool. It's something to help you. So just wanted to add that.
And I don't know how many listeners are on the call from Western Mass area that actually went to the Bay State program with Dr. Romanelli, but he explained it the best to me, really. And it's like you get to a weight where a regular diet just doesn't even work anymore because you can't, we're kind of in a catch 22, right? We're like at a weight where we can't exercise because it's just so physically painful. And no one's really gonna truly empathize and understand that unless you've gone through that. And um the bariatric surgery, it's not a crutch, it's a tool that helps us get to a weight where we can healthily exercise and follow a program, and get the confidence and the health that we need to continue life. I just wanted to make it past 50, so that's how this program has benefited me. I'm sure everyone has some incredible stories, and wouldn't that be nice to have a call, Brenda, sometime of just hearing everyone's story sometime and just kind of get inspired from that. Just food for thought, maybe.
Oh, great idea. I love that. Write that
But
down.
now, here are some steps that folks can take to overcome imposter syndrome. So let's look at these. So, learn what's controllable, right? Every action contains a certain amount of uncertainty. So, being mindful of that can help us internally process what's controllable and what's not controllable. We need to recognize our boundaries of knowledge. Okay, we don't know everything, right? We can't. If that was the case, I'd be a medical doctor myself. My student loans would be paid off, and I'd be ready to rock roll out there. But no one knows everything. But actually, That's pretty awesome, right? When we think about it, because that's what makes life so interesting. Life can be more interesting when we have opportunities to learn and develop. And trying to develop that growth mindset can be really valuable for us to understand, okay, maybe I don't know how to succeed through this particular issue that I'm going for. So I will go talk to my nutritionist, a mental health professional, or someone that can um, um, maybe share their own personal experience or guide me through this support. And my favorite one, because I'm just a data driven person, is tracking my achievements. Now I'm definitely emphasizing this out of all of these things. So if you remember back to my story with Julie and everything, one of the issues is just being told, "Oh, you're cheating. You've like lost all this, or you're just not even successfully going through this process." Well, so when we are that type of individual that thinks, "Oh my God, am I cheating?" Let me tell you, math doesn't lie, right? So I literally have a spreadsheet in a dashboard that I track everything as far as my calories that I do per day, the weight I lose or gain, because I'm telling you guys, it's going to fluctuate still once in a while. Um, uh, and then exercising, right? So like I use it like when if I'm doing arm curls or something like that, like I can see how the pounds I use actually increases through my process. And anytime you see those numbers, especially with weight loss, when you see the numbers go down, again, math doesn't lie. That's an achievement, and you need to be proud of that for yourself. That's a huge achievement. Um, when you exercise, let's say you're just walking. Okay, so maybe the first few weeks or the first month, you walk a half a mile. Oh, then maybe the next week or next month, you decide, you know what, I'm going to try doing a mile. Well, increasing the challenge for yourself by going from a half mile, maybe you end up going to 5 miles. Those are things that are, those are visually achievable moments. You can see the improvement and the progress. And don't be slight of that, because it's valuable information. And the other reason why I like the data is because it helps me see patterns of achievements or failures too, but it helps me see a pattern. So it may help me analyze what I did wrong or what I did right and how I can improve that process. Because my ultimate goal always is, how can I improve? How can I improve? And it just can be very valuable. So I definitely highly recommend that if you aren't tracking anything, that maybe you consider doing it. There's a lot of free apps out there for everything to track pretty much anything, from even how much you sleep at night. So take advantage of those tools out there. They're resources, and a lot of them are free. And step back and refresh your perspective, right? So it's okay to take time out from a toxic relationship or friendship. Step back, take a breath. I have found grounding exercises to be great for something like this. And there's one exercise I do. I call it the five senses. And what I'll do is I'll sit in a room. So I'll sit in my office, maybe by myself, and I'll start with number five. And I'm going to do sight. So I have to visually find five things in my office and focus on one of them, and then just describe it to myself in as much detail as possible. And then I'll go to the next sense, and maybe I'll do hearing. And I'm like, okay, so number four is hearing. And I'm just going to go five, four, three, two, one. And number four, I'm going to be like, okay, what sounds do I hear? Well, I hear my space heater going in the background, and it sounds a little like this. I'm hearing, I'm actually hearing an employee talk out in the hallway. They're sounding like this, but it's helping you refocus your mind so you can be in the moment, right? We want to be in the moment so we can focus and think more productively. And it kind of helps, it really helps center myself, especially during stressful moments or moments where I just feel like things are just out of control. It's just a really good technique. Um, and then collaborate, right? No one has all the answers. Find support groups, your nutritionist, your psychological wellness professional, a life coach, religious clergy. Your employer may have a resource such as an employee assistance program or an EAP program. There's a lot of different resources that are available for you to take advantage of. And a lot of them don't cost much, if anything. Excuse me. And it's important to practice self-confidence. Try to be mindful that we are worthy people. You are worthy to have gone through this process. You are worthy to begin this process. You are an important person. Think of the lifelong struggles and all the different things we couldn't do because we were so overweight. Heck, for my 50th birthday, I went ziplining. Amazing experience, right? And I could have never done that 5 years ago. Never. One, I probably would have. Well, one, there's a weight limit, and two, I just because you have to walk a little bit up a mountain, and that I just didn't have the physical stamina to deal with any of that. How about flying, right? Not many people feel comfortable paying for two seats on an airplane, let alone one, as we see the prices go up. But there's like all these little things that we couldn't do, but now we can do. And we should feel confident about those achievements. It's a rewarding achievement. Mine was always buying new clothes, as the sizes, as your weight dropped, you had to buy new clothes. Otherwise, it looked like I was wearing a blanket around me everywhere I walked. But to me, that was my reward, and seeing yourself kind of slim down in sizes. I mean, I started in for a pant size, I think I was like 54, 56, and now I'm in 32. So that's a big achievement and a, a big achievement and something I'm extremely proud about. So look for the things that make you happy, and don't let the what I'm going to call the negative Nancy's out there ruin that or steal that from you, because you are entitled to feel that way, and you are all amazing people for beginning a journey like this, because we need to look at possibly removing ourselves from these toxic environments. It's certainly something that we encourage in the workplace, that if there is toxicity, we do our best to eliminate that, because then we get issues like discrimination, harassment, and potential legal issues, right? Well, at home, it's even more devastating, because it's not like you can leave home to um, um, go do something else. You're kind of stuck there, especially if you both are on the same lease, or the same, or you own the home together, or for whatever reason. So really look for ways to overcome that. And again, I'm just going to preface again, mental health professionals, they're experienced and educated, and have the tools and resources to help you guide through these, what I'll call hiccups in our life, because we don't want it to be permanent, right? It's something that we can get through, and it's something that we should help and support each other to get through together. So I always encourage us to seek that professional guidance. And if you want to, one, to preface again, I know Brenda said that she's going to post these slides up for me, but here's the link up here. You can take this free imposter syndrome test for yourself and just see where you are at the level. If it's something that you should consider speaking to somebody else, or maybe you don't need to worry about it at this time in your life, but it's a good pre-test indicator that can at least help maybe guide you in a direction to get the support that you need.
So
And
Rick,
yes,
for those just listening, and not actually seeing the slides, could you tell us what that link is so that they can
sure.
go directly to that?
Yep, it's https:// um, test yourself dot psych tests with an S at the end of that. So psychstests.com/test ID /3803. So that's https testyourself.psychtests.com/test ID /3803.
Thank you for doing that. I
Yes,
appreciate it. And I'll
sure.
post that. I posted it here in our links, but I'll also post it on our Facebook page too as well.
Great. And certainly if anyone has any questions or if you want to jump in and maybe share your thoughts, I would invite you to do that at this time. You can certainly pop them in the chat. I'll certainly do my best to answer. Oh, I see Brenda just typed that in there. Thank you so much, Brenda.
Yeah, got it.
Oh, see, Donna loves the clothes shop, and yep, that's always a lot of fun there, right? Oh,
And it
airplanes and
looks like
roller coasters. Oh my God, yes.
there's
Oh,
actually quite a few here. Yeah, read some of these comments. We go all the way up to like 148 or 145 even, or
for
if
the
you'd like
time
me
you
to
mean?
read them too,
Yeah.
I'd be
Oh,
happy to.
um, let's see. Sorry, I'm like reading them to myself. I thought you were gonna read them out loud, but I could. Um,
Yeah, how about we start with Donna's at 145? She says, I look at old pictures and I don't even recognize who she was. You get
yeah,
to a point where all you have left is loose skin, and that's another hurdle to go through. So,
yes,
it is true. Like how we see ourselves, how we perceive ourselves, how we view
yeah,
ourselves can also kind of fall into that perfectionist, superhuman, some of those other categories. So I could totally get it. And Donna says also, I went ziplining several weeks ago after surgery. Um, so trying to do, I guess, overcome some of those hurdles, like those little things within, and just overcoming them and just going
and
for it, right?
yeah, and you know what I have found, Brenda, too, and I wonder if others have related with this too, is you don't have to do something extreme, right? Like zip lining or going on a roller coaster, but just maybe going for a longer walk that you normally do, or like others have kind of validated with me, is seeing your sizes go down and buying new clothes, and that is it really is motivating, right? It really does help us build confidence. And it's a nice way to sustain that energy through this whole process too. And I remember seeing a lot of my friends that were very healthy and fit, that they'd be out and about constantly. And I just would be like, wow, you guys need to slow down a little bit. But I got to tell you, you really start to have that mind shift when you start changing your lifestyle to start doing those things. And it really just, it makes life worth living. It makes life fun. And especially if you have a family with small kids in it, or just things that you can do as a family, it can change a lot of options for you. Maybe instead of uh, if you go on a vacation, and maybe instead of doing a staycation or staying at home, it's like we're going to actually go to the beach this time, or we're going to go on the plane and we're going to take a trip to Florida, or we're going to go skiing in Vermont, or there's all kinds of fun opportunities. And I think that's the best way, in my opinion, to kind of celebrate this process, is to do things that are fun for you. Because I don't care what anyone tells you, this process is all about us. It's all about you. It's and yes, we have reasons that we want to do it for our family and to stay longer, but in the end, it's all about us. We can be selfish once, and it it can really bring a lot of exciting opportunities, because there's stuff I did I never would have guessed that I would have done in my life. I've actually checked off half my bucket list already. So it, it, it it's a really a lot of fun. And next year, my next one's coming off by visiting Germany. So I'm really excited some upcoming opportunities for myself too. Sorry, I'm kind of stealing everyone's thunder here. Um,
Well, that's what's kind of, I mean, really and truly, it should be all about us. There's another comment here too. Sharon says, how does a person get not past not wanting to go out some places and fearing the questions you might get about weight loss? After losing 108 pounds and 60 inches, I should be ready to take on the world. But that just isn't the case. And I'm going to answer, and then Rick, I'm going to allow you to kind of like give your perspective on that. To me, there's nothing wrong. You don't have to lie to people. You don't have to feel uncomfortable. All you have to do is just say, I've been making changes in my diet and my nutrition. And I've been like, if you have been doing any physical fitness, you could add that in. I've been making lifestyle changes. And you can leave it at that. You don't have to go in deep. Sometimes you feel like you have to, but you don't have to. Like sometimes they're just wanting encouragement. And if you think that if they start asking more specific questions, you can gear yourself, like pivot from those, but you're not lying in any ways, but you're also telling the things you are doing, like you are making changes.
right. And I actually, I agree with all that, to be perfectly honest. I, I do think that we don't have to be completely transparent with everyone. And I'm not going to lie, most of the time, I just tell people that, it was a lot of work. It was a lot of meetings with nutritionists. It was a lot of meetings with a physical trainer. It was a lot of work. I was working out 5 days a week, which is true, but like these are things that I did on top of this. So I've heard people say, "Oh, I walk 3 miles to 5 miles every single day. I just cut back on what I'm eating." That's okay. That's perfectly fine. Where I think or feel that it can be somewhat challenging for us is when we ourselves don't own our truth. If we start telling ourselves lies, I think in believing in those, I think that's where it could potentially affect our behavior or our success through this program. And an example of that would be if I were telling that same person that thing, but I started to actually believe it for myself. And that's the thing about lying too, is you can actually repeat the same thing over and over and over again and then start believing that yourself, right? And then once you believe that and you get some aha trigger that's like, oh, wait a minute, I actually did this by having weight loss surgery. Yes, I also ate right and exercise and all the other things, but now you're not being honest with yourself. So that can sometimes actually lead to imposter syndrome too. So I would just consider that cautiously. But as far as being private to other people, privacy is the one thing no one can ever take away from you. And you should by all means feel comfortable to share with other people only what you want to share with other people and not feel bad about that.
I love that.
That's my 2 cents on that.
That's truth. Um, I want to add too, I know Beth also mentioned, she says, I write affirmations in first, second, and third person. I read these out loud. I can record them so I hear myself say them. What I will say about that is what happens is when you do that is like literally you're putting yourself in that energy of whatever it is that you're saying about yourself, saying about life, saying about whatever it is. And I think those can be really, really powerful. I think for them to be really effective, you actually have to be in that in the moment and really, I don't want to say believe it, but feel it. Like really, if you're feeling not resonant with something that you're saying, maybe you say, I feel beautiful, but you don't feel beautiful in the moment. There's ways to tweak that just a little bit to feel more in that. Like I know that it's possible to feel beautiful. I know I felt beautiful in the past. I know that there is things that I can do to feel more confident and beautiful right now, like sitting up straighter, like breathing deeper, like little simple things like that. So I just wanted to kind of add to that. And there's so many more comments. Would you like
And
me to read a few more?
yeah, please.
Or did you have anything to add to that, what Beth said about
Well,
her affirmations?
the one, so like I've actually done this because a friend of mine did this and she kind of shared it with me is oh God, I forget what they call it, like that storyboard or that um
Like a
uh
vision board?
yes, thank you. Yes.
Hmm.
Where you know, you cut out little pictures or make notes on basically your big life ambitions, your life goals, what makes you happy and all that. Look, I gotta tell you, I've had some miserable days at work before where, let's just face it, we all have them. It's just a bad day, right? And just staring at that board for 30 seconds just kind of it just kind of brings a little smile back on my face. And quite honestly, I think at the end of the day, I'm happy when I get a smile. So, yeah, so that's kind of like my self affirmation there.
Oh, that's a great thing. Yeah, having like a little board of reminders, like
Yeah.
those little things, phrases or pictures that remind you of why you're here. That's what's important to you. I've done I've done so many vision board classes with people just because I think it's so helpful. Crystal says, great triumph with airlines and roller coasters. Yes, those are always clothes shopping. That is always a big thing. Paddle boarding 3 weeks post-op. That is amazing,
Oh,
incredible. I
that's
just got to
amazing.
say. Yes, that's something I've not done. I don't know about you, Rick, but
No,
um,
but I think I may have to add it to my bucket list now.
um, and I'm going to read a few more of these, and then we're going to kind of close thoughts. Like
Sure.
I want you to make a closing thought. It looks like Jody says, or I read Jody's. Amber says, I struggle with feeling like I'm not good enough and will never be able to get the surgery, which leads me to believe that I'll be fat forever. So I would say, like Amber, if you're struggling with that, like this feeling, what I would say is, there's nothing wrong with talking to someone about that. Somebody who's in a safe place. It could be a friend, it could be a therapist, it could be somebody like find or talking to yourself, journaling. Like to me, journaling can be really powerful if you go into
Huge.
why you feel like that. Why do you feel like that? Like
Yeah.
that can be just as powerful. C. Wilson says, I've been afraid to throw away my plus size wardrobe. And you know what? Let me ask, what's causing you to feel that way? There's a fear in there. And I always say fear is false illusion appearing real. It's an illusion. Like we scare ourselves. You don't have to scare yourself. You
Right.
can like what I'd say is stop when you start scaring yourself and like take a breath, divert your attention, your focus. You don't have to focus on that. You could focus on something else. Like there's nothing that says you have to think about that. Would
I,
you
I
agree, Rick?
I would totally agree. It's like interesting that that comment was made though, because I'm like kind of reflecting back. Did I keep any like old clothes of mine? And I did. I actually kept one out, just one though. I kept one outfit from before I had the surgery, and I kind of wanted, and it's hanging in my closet, and I do that era every once in a while just to remind me how far I've come.
That's a great way.
Um,
And the other thing is too is why would you want to keep your plus size wardrobe? Like for me, I love buying new clothes. Like what's wrong with if you do, like let's say you do gain back a few pounds, when you want different clothes, you're not going to want something from a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Like you're going to want new stuff anyways,
And
right?
I ended up bringing mine to a secondhand shop. I mean, do you remember how difficult it was to buy large clothes in our sizes? It was so challenging, right? I had to get clothes specially made for like, some of the time. So I felt like I was kind of helping someone out in some way too, right? Because there's a lot of people out there that struggle with being overweight. It is an epidemic. It's a worldwide epidemic. And if somebody could find some value in some of the dress clothes that don't fit me anymore, but could help them out, then great.
Yeah, good point. Donna says, I love the healthier me, a lot of mental work. C. Wilson says, mental work is lifelong. This is us. And we have a few more. It looks like I kept a shirt, pants, and underwear just to remind me of how I used to be. And when I come across my fat clothes, I'm in shock of how I used to be. Yeah, I think a comparison, it's a great non-scale of just like looking at where you was. Um, but there's lots more that are just kind of high-fiving to what we've just said. Um,
Yeah, I think things
yes.
like that are great.
So it looks like somebody says not being stared at in public and rude comments, society can be rude. Yeah, that's true. I mean, and sometimes let me tell you, it's not just about them, it's how we feel when we feel like somebody is staring at us or saying something uncomfortable or that we feel we're being judged. Like
Yeah.
shift your own mindset and like take responsibility about how you're feeling. Like nobody else can make you feel a certain way. And that's sometimes a hard thing to have because like that's hard truth. Like if somebody else, we feel like somebody else is making us feel like judged or making us feel sad, we can change that and we can like give forgiveness to them because they're really nobody else is seeing you through the lens of you. They're seeing you through the lens of their own eyes and experiences. And sometimes it's hard because maybe they have their own prejudices against themselves, and sometimes they're judging really not you, they're judging themselves. So that's my two
And
cents.
and I don't know if anyone else has experienced this, but before I started working out in the gym, I was terrified to go to the gym, right? Because you have all these expectations that people are going to stare at you and laugh at you or gossip at you. And Brenda, correct me if I'm wrong, if this hasn't been your experience too, but the first week or second week that you went, nobody cares. Everyone's paying
Yeah.
attention to themselves and their own work. Everyone stays in their zone. No one's around laughing at anyone, staring at anyone,
Yeah.
judging anyone. And I think the hardest thing was going that first day, right? Because I kept having that fear in my mind. Oh, I'm going to be judged. I'm going to be judged. I'm going to be judged. And finally, I said, you know what? Just do it. And I kind of motivated myself to do it. I'm not going to lie. I took a friend with me. It's always nice to get a little support. And it was, I, it was an experience I didn't expect, and it helped me continue to keep going. And then the more you go, the quicker the weight even flies off even more.
And I think too, so when we're in that state of, it's kind of like the affirmation. So I'm going to go back to that. It's like when we're in a state of being self-conscious and being kind of paranoid, like think about those thoughts that are going through your mind and think about what you're putting off as far as a frequency. It's like a radio signal. Those of you who've listened to me before can hear this. So you're actually you're sending a signal out to people for them to be observant of that. And I just want to say, just like Alma says, when I was a big piece of people, when I was a big person, no one held the door for me, and now people actually hold the door. Do you think it's really them, or do you think it's you that's changed in what you're sending out? Like maybe you're more confident, maybe you're more happy. Like I've seen people who are larger size have that happen for them, have people open the door and be friendly and happy, but it's what they're putting out there. Like what are you putting out there? Like I want to just ask you, like be honest with yourself. Are you putting out there that I am loved and I am lovable? Or are you putting out there that I am not worthy and that people don't like me? That's pretty tough. I mean, it is. It's
It it
something to
it
think about.
it's a hard truth to consider. And on the flip side, I have seen
Yeah.
biases out there with overweight people. And I think I
Hmm.
see that actually not a lot, but I do see it in the HR profession where someone's not going to hire somebody that's overweight versus somebody that's not overweight, right? Because they think if you're overweight, you're going to have all these expensive health issues. The benefit premiums are going to go up. You're going to be absent. You're going to be sick all the time.
Hmm.
You'll have low productivity and performance, and those are really negative biases that I think don't help the situation or help the
So
stigma
how
or
do
the
you get
bad.
around that? Because you're in HR, Rick. How do you get
Yeah,
around that?
yeah. Well, I just don't judge it. And I think what helped me not get around that is by being overweight too, and realizing that stigma,
Understanding.
yes, and I think that helps a lot. I think um, it um, it I guess it's one of the few things that has brought some added value to me doing HR is having experienced that and the struggles to go with that, because a lot of people are overweight. And it's amazing the number of employees or even past employees from previous employers will contact me. Rick, how'd you do this? How'd you do this? Can you get me in the right direction? Can you tell me your secret? Can you? And, I'm glad to share and talk with them through it and coach them through it. Ultimately, it needs to be everyone's own individual journey, their own decision. And you need to do it for the right reasons. I do think I've talked with people that want to do it just to look better. Those aren't that it's a reason. It's not the only right reason to do something like this, because it is a life changing event. You can't go back. So once you start and go forward, we got to do what we can to keep that momentum going. Thank
So
you.
Rick,
Yeah.
yeah. So how about one closing statement for a thought? Like what would you sum up everything that you've talked about today to give to them?
Yeah, I think some key issues to take, or some key points to consider is one, we can't do everything alone. That's why these supportive systems are in place. Again, like these presentations, your nutritionists, your mental health worker. And I think getting as much support and using as many of the resources out there available to you will help you through your journey, will help reduce stress, will help you meet your goals and objectives, and can prevent you falling into pitfalls where you're shaming or doubting or discrediting yourself and your achievements.
Rick, thank you so much. I just, in case anybody would like to get a hold of Rick, I have Rick's email and his link on LinkedIn available for you. I'll put that on Facebook as well. If you're listening to a replay at any point, you should be able to find that in our description section. So you should have it
Otherwise,
there.
yes, feel free to email me at rick@possibilities-leadership.com. I'd be happy to talk with you more about it. Or you can visit my website at possibilities-leadership.com. Thank you so much, Brenda, and
Awesome.
everyone, for having me. I really had a fun time, and thank you for allowing me to talk about
You can
this
tell you're so
subject with you.
passionate about what you do, Rick. In ending too, we always kind of just do a shout out to our sponsor because that's what brings us here together to have these events.
Absolutely.
And so we're gonna do that. And ProCare Health is our sponsor. They're a vitamin and supplement company. I will show you the website here. First of all, though, we've kind of been just doing like a little
How
share with some of our
awesome!
products. Yes. Oh, look at that. He's got it. He's showing his own thing here.
These are so awesome. These are like my new favorite berry vitamin now. I just love these.
So we're going to show where they can reach those too, Rick, because I want to, those are actually my favorite too. I'm not going to lie. As far as the multivitamins, because they're just easy to take. And I feel like I have kind of a sensitive stomach, so they kind of really go down well. I don't know if do you have
Which
any
flavor do
problems?
you like better?
I like them all. I maybe grape. I don't know. What's your favorite?
I don't know. It's hard to decide too. I'm kind of,
I
but
like
so
the
that's the
variety.
nice thing is they give you a variety here. So you're not doing the same flavor every single day.
For sure, for sure. So also I want to introduce one other product, and it's magnesium. So if anybody's looking for a magnesium supplement, we do carry a lot of therapeutics. They're kind of like add-ons to your multivitamin regimen. And our MAG-D immunity support, it basically has these vitamins that are just really for staying healthy and staying like, especially when COVID was going through, that's when we first created this, but really even like with the flu, with other things that are kind of going around, vitamin C, magnesium, vitamin D3, zinc, and more. And each bottle is a 3-month supply. It's only one a day. And I'm going to jump onto our website here very quickly and show you where you can find that and also the vitamin that Rick was talking about. So procarenow.com, I'll copy that. Um, if you look under the bariatric multivitamins, first I'll show you the product that Rick was just showing you. Thank you, Rick, for showing that. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
It is right here, bariatric multivitamin soft chew. So it's under our product list. The other thing I wanted to show is the magnesium. So if you go under products and then therapeutics on our website, and we have 2 pages of therapeutics. It's on the first page and the second row, MAGD. So there it is. It is for 90-day supply. It is currently rebated down to $14.39 for subscription, or if you just want to do a one-time purchase, it's $15.99. So I got that. I also want to just say real quickly too, guys, if you want to continue to listen to these events, please stay connected on our ProCare Health website under Very Connected tab. When you look there, that's where you're going to find today's event with Rick, and you can listen to the replay. It takes it a second for it to pop up here. It's right under upcoming weekly events. It says scroll to explore. It'll pop up here a second. You can actually watch this on replay using the same link. It'll be on demand until the end of this month. And then we also have upcoming events for November. We have Monica Weaver, who's a mindset coach, will be on next week for breaking free from the all or nothing mindset, which falls right into what we were talking about today. And then also Enough is Enough, Decision Made, and we have a testimonial from Amanda, who has lost all kinds of weight and has had bariatric surgery. I love these where we have people tell their stories of weight loss. And then each month we always have a support group. And this month is the most common causes of fatigue and how to overcome them. And that's on November 16th. You can register on our website. We also have our Very Connected podcast. You can listen on any of the major podcast stations. Me and Rick's replay will be available usually we have it upplayed by next Tuesday. So it'll be on our podcast by then, and also on our YouTube station, which you can click onto off of our Very Connected page, or you can just go straight to ProCare Health Vitamins and Supplements. Please subscribe to our page. If you subscribe, you get notifications of all the upcoming events. We actually now have 182 as of today videos that are on there, all different kinds of topics related to bariatric surgery. And again, Rick's replay will be on there soon as well. So
Thanks for
that
having
is
me again,
all I
Brenda, and
have.
everyone. I
Yes.
really had a lot of fun.
Thank you so much. And it looks like we have all kinds of comments regarding thanking you, Rick. And some people are saying what they love as far as ProCare. So thank you,
Yeah.
everyone. We love you so
Thank you.
much. Rick, I'll be reaching out to you by email,
All right.
and just want to thank every one of you. Take care. Have a beautiful day.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy. Bye-bye.